Oh, great finish there. Serving the forehand. I mean, what a title win for Alcaraz. I mean,
How long was this match, by the way?
I'm not sure. I'll see in a moment.
Because I think it was
3 hours,
also the longest
about
in tournament history.
3 hours 20 something, is it, or what was it?
Yeah,
I'm not.
then definitely.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear
Yes.
you.
So, what's your immediate reaction? Although, given that you were about half a minute ahead of me, you've probably already given your immediate reaction, Eddie. What's your immediate reaction to what we just saw?
I mean, it ended up being a great match. I mean, I think that it's got to go down as a excellent victory for Carlos Alcaraz. I mean, it was up and down. I mean, obviously, the first set got away from him. It looked like he was going to take it, but from the second set, middle of the second set, he started to find his game, and I feel like right through until the third set, it was looking like it was going to go easily for him, and then Sinner came back. To be fair, with some excellent tennis of his own, but I think Alcaraz overall was the better player, and he was the more aggressive player. He was going for more winners for sure, and it was coming off, especially, I mean, how many forehands, and it was, to come back from 3-love down in that final tiebreak and then win it like that is pretty great for him.
For almost every player in the world, there was a point at 3-4 as the ball comes down the center of the court towards Carlos. And I'm thinking, 99% of the tour, that is a fairly neutral ball. But for Carlos, it's very attackable. And of course, he did attack it with a forehand. Got a little bit lucky because it did clip the net cord en route to basically end up being a winner. But it was sort of a net cord that I think even the German commentator I was listening to hadn't picked up on. It was not super blatantly obvious, but I mean, if I just take us through the match, it sort of echoes something that both of you were saying in the third set, which was basically that if Jannik doesn't win this, it'll be okay. But if Carlos doesn't win it, there will be some regrets because of the positions that he got himself in. So I'm just going to remind those that are just tuning in or perhaps latterly reflecting on the match. We had a situation where Carlos took an early initiative. I think he got to 4-1, didn't he, Damien, in the first set?
Sorry, to go to what?
I think he got to 4-1 in the first set, did Carlos.
5-3, 30-15 on serve.
5-3, 30-15. So
much further than that. But I mean, that opportunity, Jannik just absolutely killed him on the next 3 points. It was like a ridiculous sharp angle on the forehand cross. Then there was a return as well that he just smashed, and also a couple of super deep shots in the next rally. But all in all, like over the entire match, I think that Alcaraz definitely was the one creating more chances, which is why it would have hurt him more. Jannik was the one who felt like he was kind of stealing it and keeping himself in it, especially the third set as well. The fact that he was 4-2 up Alcaraz, the fact that he was 3-1, 40-15 on return. So, like, if he lost this, he would have been the one regretting the chances, whereas I think for Jannik, it's a little more, this loss is a bit more approachable. Maybe the best Jannik chance that he had was the 3-love. In the
tiebreak. That was the only
two mini breaks.
Yeah.
That's with this tiebreak record of late, you gotta think that this is over, basically.
And look at that
Alcaraz
stat
plays
there.
a streak of ridiculous points. Yeah.
Go on the stat.
Yeah, just the 15 break points that Carlos Alcaraz had versus 6 for Sinner. But of course, Alcaraz took 3 of them, Sinner took 2. So there was many opportunities that went, for Alcaraz, but in the end, it worked out for him.
Yeah, right. Just looking at some of these stats here that's been shared on social media. As you say, 55 wins or a lot of attackable moments from Carlos. And of course, in that first set as well, Carlos was up early in that tiebreak. In fact, I think he was up until I think he had 3 set points overall. I think he had 6-4, didn't he, in the tiebreak of the first set. He also had a set point, I think, on Jannik's serve. Jannik did an incredible return to get it back to 6-5. I think it was in the first set tiebreak, albeit I do think that if you want to be picky, Carlos's serve was deep, it was fast, but it was in a slightly attackable zone, albeit that there was still a lot of work for Jannik to do. And Jannik goes on to win
maybe
that.
he was trying to go at the body,
He was going at the body, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, the problem was, he wasn't really going quite enough into the body, and it gave him an opportunity to strike. And Jannik took it, and probably almost no one in the world would have been able to still do it because it was still a very quick, very deep serve. Second set, kind of in the end, I'm just trying to remember the second set. It's almost the one that's sort of furthest from my mind.
36 forehand winners, by the way.
From the whole match from Carlos, 36 forehand winners.
It does kind of represent some things, he
The second
was
set
really
was all about 3 games, I think, wasn't it? And it was it was 2. I think Carlos had a couple of break points at 15-40 that came and went in what was actually I think 4 points in a row from Jannik, so he holds. But one of those, then Carlos gets to 40-15. This is about 4 all, I'm going to say. Then Carlos gets to 40-15 on his serve, but then gets back to juice somehow. And boy, oh boy, it ends up being like a 14-minute ultimate hold for Carlos, which then he took into the next game, broke, wins the set. He has the momentum, gets the break up. I actually I missed one game in the whole match, and it was the one where Sinner broke, because I just thought, I went to the kitchen. Actually, it got to love 40 so quickly. I was like, what's going on here? Because I just couldn't see Jannik getting back in the match at that point.
Yeah, and it felt like that's why, it would have been upsetting for Alcaraz to lose this final set, to lose this match, because, like he said, it just felt like he was on top, and there wasn't many opportunities there. Sinner wasn't really creating much at all, and yeah, that game went so quickly, and suddenly Sinner was back in it, and then he got ahead, but yeah, it's credit to Alcaraz just for being able to trust his game and actually keep executing, because it can be, perhaps not always easy to do that, but he did that so well in this final set. He was definitely on top overall, and it would have felt like if Jannik did win it, it would have been, a little bit against the run of play for sure.
We're very much in Beijing, but probably about 10 or 15 minutes before the match finished, as it was reaching an unbelievable crescendo, Shanghai tries to say, we can't wait to see Shang against Alcaraz. And I'm sure we can't, but actually we can right now, because I think we still just need to reflect a little bit longer on what we've just seen. Damien, I think it's fair to say that for 1.5 to 2 sets, as interesting and as fascinating as it was, and at various points, both of them, pulled out the Hollywood shots. Was it probably not until the third set that we started to see some of the points that we saw, for example, in New York a couple of years ago?
No, I don't think that's fair. I think it was definitely their best match this year in terms of just like maintaining that quality from start to finish. We did have some highlights earlier on as well, for sure. I remember that backhand on the run from Carlos in the first set, and yeah, I feel like definitely it's one of the contenders for like matches of the season, mostly because of that, because it was just really good from start to finish, which some of these other ones don't really have. Not to look too far, Alcaraz Sinner, Roland Garros, more important, more crucial, huge match, but it didn't have that setting where it was just up and down as hell, and it had both players struggling physically, whereas here they were like both more or less on top of their game from start to finish, and just gradually either outclassing each other, or in the case of Carlos, sometimes also letting the other player in.
First player to win ATP 500s on all 3 services, right? I know we spoke about it at the beginning of the match, but that's now been confirmed. Yeah, I don't know what else there is to say, Eddie, regarding either the match or even just where we're at. Of course, this is the first time that we've had that sequence broken where, you had two wins for one player and then 2 wins for the next, and that was going on. But we've now had 3 wins in a row for Carlos. Today was super fine. Roland Garros also was pretty close, and Indian Wells too, I guess. So you could make an argument to say that they could have gone either way, those 3 encounters, but they have crucially all gone the way of Carlos Alcaraz. Eddie, I don't know if you want to elaborate on that.
Yeah, I mean, I think now the head-to-head is, what is it, 6-4? Is it
6-4 if you don't count the 2019.
Adi, don't even start. Don't even start. It's 7-4.
Okay. If we count, you mean the challenger match, right?
In
Yes.
2019, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean, it's in his favor, but I mean, this can all. I mean, if they play again, though, I mean, as we were talking before, I mean, this particular surface is a little bit slower. It's certainly, on the quicker, if it was a quicker surface, it might benefit, probably would benefit Jannik more, which is where we'll be going next in Shanghai. It should be quite quick. So be interesting if they do manage to face each other there, although perhaps that's going to be more difficult for in terms of, there's going to be more opponents there that could possibly stop either of them before they reach the final. But as far as the matchup goes, I mean, I guess it's tilted a bit in favor of Carlos, but I don't know. I could easily see the next few matches possibly going to Sinner. So it just depends where they meet again, I suppose.
Absolutely, yeah. Any closing thoughts, Damien? Anything we've missed?
Yeah, I mean, it's just so massive for Carlos to be three up on Jannik in the head-to-head this year. I think that it really sets the tone for like a completely different conversation. I know a lot of people are going to be saying like, okay, yeah, so Jannik has won more, but they have the same amount of, they have the same number of slams, and Jannik hasn't defeated him here this year. And it's been like, very different conditions by now. Beijing, like a medium speed hard court, Indian Wells, sandpaper hard court, and also clay in Indian Wells and in Paris. And yeah, it really starts a whole new discussion going, which is very exciting storyline wise. Of course, for the end of the year, we might still see them clashing. There's still opportunities for that. There's still Shanghai, potential semifinal. There's still Paris. There's still ATP finals, where of course the chances of meeting another player from the top 8 is very, very high, and the Davis Cup finals, which might as well like end the season for them as well, and potentially clashing in the final there. So, I mean, we might as well get like 2 or 3 more matches between Alcaraz and Sinner this year, and I think this adds to the intrigue, especially if we're going to see them playing in like the ATP finals, especially the setting that would probably suit Jannik the most. The fact that he hasn't beaten Carlos is suddenly going to be a huge storyline there. So, I just think it adds to the excitement of the rest of the season. And obviously, when we're doing these like top 5 lists at the end of the year, this will at least be in contention. I'm pretty sure it will make it to the top 5. But I mean, will, yeah. I'm going to leave it to the panel for now.
Depends what happens next few weeks. Listen, I'm going to bring this to a close. Eddie, it's getting... Oh, by the way, I remember right at the beginning, we were talking about, well, did they really need to have it on this early? Could it have been a bit later? And now, of course, it is getting quite late in Beijing. So maybe they'll try and make an argument to say that they were justified in doing it at this point. But listen, Eddie, Damien, big thanks.
Yeah, cheers.
And to everyone else, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell so you don't miss out on all things tennis.